Okay, in this short video, I'm gonna show you how to install Vara HF, and it's a very similar process to installing Vara FM, but we're gonna start with Vara HF. This is the modem that you need for peer-to-peer, Winlink, Vara AC. It's used for many different applications. So we're gonna start by downloading Vara. So the simplest thing is to find the download site. I'm just gonna say Vara download, and you see it's this website EA5HVK Weak Signal Software. That's the direct website, and you have all the different Vara modems. We're gonna start with Vara HF, and so I'm gonna click on that. It's gonna open a directory, and then I'm gonna select Vara HF v4.8.9. It's a zip file, and I'm gonna save it in a temporary folder. I'm just saying save, and ignore that message, and then it's already saved. So I'm gonna open the folder where it's downloaded. We're gonna open that folder, and you see that the zip file is right there. So this could vary a little bit, but we need to extract those zip files. So I'm going to right click, and I'm gonna say extract all. I'm gonna just extract them to the same folder. So I'm extracting it, and it's showing me the extracted file. You see it says Vara setup, runs an administrator. So I'm gonna right click, and I'm gonna say run as an administrator. You get the usual warning. I'm gonna say run it anyways, and this is the wizard for installing. So I'm gonna click next, accept the agreement, and I'm gonna change the folder. I'm gonna go to Vara test so I can delete it later. I'm gonna say next. I'm not gonna create a desktop icon, so not to mess up with my existing icons, but you probably want to create a desktop icon. I'm gonna say next, and I'm gonna click install. So that tells me that it was installed successfully, and I'm gonna now launch the program so I can show you how to set it up. So it's launching. I'm gonna allow it to go through the firewall, and it's here. It opened minimized, so you see this is Vara HF, and we need to set up a few things. What you see here down here, it's a waterfall, and then you see the VU monitor. That's the audio input. That's probably the most important one, and the second most important is the signal to noise ratio on the right hand side. That tells you the quality of the signals being received, and that it's something good to keep an eye on. So the first thing to do is to go to settings. I'm gonna turn my radio. I'm gonna go to settings, Vara setup, and I'm gonna leave the default TCP port, which is 800. Under call sign, normally you would type in your call sign KK4 ODA, and then if you purchased it, you type in your registration key, but if not, it's just gonna work at lower speeds. We're gonna click allow Vara check for updates, accept 500 Hz connection. That's important. We're not gonna use the tuner enhancement, and we are gonna check the KISS interface. Some applications require it, okay? And the number of retries, I would drop that down to 10. Some people keep it at 5. And then we're gonna close. As you see, the audio input is still 0 because we need to set up the sound card. So we go to settings, sound card, and this is perhaps the most important setup screen. This is where we choose the sound devices, and I have several in my computer. So I'm gonna open the input menu, and I'm gonna choose the FTDX USB codec. That's because that's my HF radio. In your computer this may be different, but you need to choose the input device for your radio, and then same thing for the output. So I'm gonna use the FTDX USB audio codec for the output. In terms of the channels, for this, what we're doing right now, it doesn't matter that much, so you can leave it in left plus right or choose one of the two. It doesn't matter too much, but in some cases it could matter. And the drive level is basically the volume at which Vara will transmit. And this is something that I typically, my starting value is something like negative 10 dB. That's what I start with, but you may change that later depending on your setup. So the idea is that the drive level has to be such that your ALC in your radio, it's either showing a little bit or not showing at all. Okay, so that's the rule of thumb. And if you want to see if, so I'm gonna close this menu, and under settings, in this case we have nothing else really to set up, but if you look at the sound card menu again, you can click tune and look at your radio and see you have to have some program running to use it. So it's not going to work unless you have either Winlink or you have VarAC or something open to do that tuning, because that's where you define the PTT commands. So if you try to tune only with Vara at open, it's not going to work. Okay, so I'm just going to close it. And what you see now in the Vara window is you see the waterfall plot, you see the noise coming from the radio, and you see that the input audio meter is around 50% or half of the meter. I normally try to set it up, set up the computer so it will be a little bit higher. So to do that, I go to the sound control panel. I have a shortcut for that because I use it often. So I made a shortcut on the desktop. And then if you look at the recording audio devices, there's a number of them, but you see that I have the FTDX10. So if you highlight that device, you click properties and you click levels, you see it's set to 51%, but if you increase it, you're gonna see the meter in the Vara window going up. So ideally, you would keep it at a little bit past the 50% mark. It really doesn't make a huge difference as long as it's not saturating too high or it's not zero. Okay, so I'm gonna get it back to my original setting, but this is important. And all the other settings, you have to go to advanced. You use 2-channel 16-bit 48,000 hertz for the quality, and then I also keep this checked, which says continue running when on battery power, so the computer does not disable this device. Okay, so but this radio has pretty simple sound settings, but your radio will probably differ, so that's something that is radio dependent. The most important thing is that you do see the waterfall, you do see some noise, and you do see the meter showing something that is not too low or not too high. And the two vertical lines here are the bandpass that Vara is set for. So Vara can operate under 2750 hertz, 2300 hertz, or 500 hertz. So depending on what application you're using, it will switch the bandpass for Vara. Okay, and that's something you have to check what setting you want to be in. And that's all. That's how you install Vara.